Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Another day, another show by BW Hotelier. Welcome to the 11th show of our newest series. Well, 11 shows old is not exactly new. The GM show. The third show of the West, the 11th overall. This fourth show in the West this week will be followed by the South with two shows. Then we move to the East and this time to the Northeast. So that show will be in this cycle. The topic for the show today is F&B play has been big, emerging opportunities, challenges, and trends. This is a great subject, a very important subject as well for the health of the industry and for the sheer delight that every guest takes home with him or her after experiencing fine dining at any good hotel of its class. While you all know this show is every Thursday at a fixed time slot of 5 to 6 p.m., we've always overrun the time limit, so it'll be good if you keep 90 minutes from 5 p.m., that's 6:30 p.m. You may want to reach us for any queries or clarification. Please reach us at bwhotelier@businessworld.in. Let me repeat, bwhotelier@businessworld.in. Now let me get rolling today. I shall come to the moderator at the last, the moderator of the show. Let me start with a lineup of speakers here with the senior most hotelier on the panel, Jaideep Anand.
Namaskar.
Hi, Jaideep. Jaideep is the Vice President and General Manager of the Leela Gandhinagar and Mahatma Mandir Convention Center and Exhibition Center, which is managed by the Leela. More on him and others from Jaideep. Next, I go to Kunal Chauhan. All right, somebody will have to mute out because another screen is on, so the voice is echoing back. Kunal Chauhan is the General Manager of the JW Marriott at Sahar in Mumbai.
Good evening.
Again, a hotelier of great stock. Hello, Kunal. Suraj Kumar Jha, now in Ahmedabad. He's the General Manager of the Crowne Plaza, Ahmedabad City Center. Hi, Suraj. Mr. Rajesh Chakraborty, again a very senior hotelier. Hi, Rajesh. He's the Cluster General Manager for the Vivanta by Taj, Aurangabad, and also the Dean of the IHM Aurangabad in Maharashtra. More on him from Ranju in a bit. I now move back to Mumbai to my good friend Gorav Arora. Gorav.
Namaste, everyone. Hello.
Hi, Gorav. Gorav is the General Manager of the Novotel, Mumbai, Juhu Beach. Last but not the least, I think the youngest on the show is Chef Anshul Sethi. He is the General Manager of the Fortune Park Lakecity in Thane and also the Brand Master Chef JLHL, Jupiter Hospitals.
Namaste, everyone.
Yeah, hi, Anshul.
Hello, sir.
Now let me come to the star of the show. Somebody who's going to drive it and somebody who's young and happening and in a great leadership slot. Let me introduce Ranju Alex, who's the Market Vice President, West Asia for Marriott International. Hello, Ranju.
Hi, everyone. Good evening.
Yeah. A renowned and a dynamic personality who has contributed significantly to the hospitality over the years. That sums up Ranju's introduction, but let me say more. She's at the helm of marketing, operations, and finance with complete responsibility from growing Marriott's business in the west of India. Prior to this role, Ranju served as the multi-property vice president, Bangalore and Kochi, and also as the general manager, Bangalore, tongue twister, Bangalore Marriott Hotel Whitefield. Ranju has been an inspiration to many who know her and having worked under. She's extremely passionate about women empowerment and advocates it at her workplace. Her work towards gender diversity had resulted in her being invited by several countries, namely Sweden, the Netherlands, UK, and the US, as a keynote speaker on women-related issues. She's also bagged some noteworthy awards and is a proud recipient of the Women of the Decade in Business Leadership Award at the Women's Economic Forum UK in 2017. But Ranju is a Calcutta brought-up girl, now of course settled in Mumbai and with a very important portfolio. Now let me hand over the baton to Ranju. She'll briefly introduce the show and then introduce every speaker, and the show is hers from here then. Hello Ranju, over to you.
Thank you, Bhuvnesh. Thank you for all the kind words, but I think the one I liked most was the fact that you called me young. So thank you for that.
Well,
very, very appreciate that. So ladies, gentlemen, a very good evening. Food, as we all know, is extremely, extremely personal to us. For some, it's a passion. For some, it's a necessity. And for all of us on the show, as we all agree, it's a business. If dining out was restricted, fairly restricted over the last 2 years, what really caught the fancy of food lovers, or foodies as we like to call them, is the concept of home deliveries by cloud kitchens, hotels, restaurants. All of them jumped into the bandwagon into this concept, and we saw a mini industry out of the food industry emerging, which was very, very encouraging. And in a lot of ways, it kept the P&L ticking for a lot of hotels and establishments. So it's done its bit, and like a lot of us would like to believe, it is here to stay. And hence, it becomes a topic of our discussion. Having said that, there is another school of thought which still believes that there is no experience second to going to a restaurant and fine dining. And hence, there are these two varied school of thoughts that we will debate it out with this esteemed panel on this show today. So let me move on and give you a larger introduction of these eminent personalities who are present on this show today. To start off with, someone we've all looked up to, Mr. Jaideep Anand, Vice President and General Manager of the Leela Gandhinagar and Mahatma Mandir Convention and Exhibition Center managed by the Leela. Jaideep's experience in the hospitality industry spans nearly 4 decades, during which he has been associated with leading hospitality groups in India and overseas in varying roles. He has served across functions and has deep and unique insights into the hospitality industry. He was earlier GM at the Leela Ambience, Gurgaon. Jaideep has also worked with hospitality chains such as Dusit, Ananda, Ista, and the Oberoi in his long and distinguished career. His work experience outside India includes stints in Sri Lanka, Australia, Egypt, Mauritius, and Saudi Arabia. Jaideep, we all look up to you, and welcome to the show. The next person that we go on to is Kunal Chauhan, who is the general manager at the JW Marriott Mumbai in Sahar in Mumbai. A renowned name in the hospitality industry, Kunal Chauhan joined JW Marriott Mumbai Sahar in July 2021, much to our pleasure. With industry exposure across leading hotel chains in India, Kunal was previously the general manager at the Leela Palace in Bangalore. The stalwart, who has his diploma from the Oberoi Center of Learning and Development, is a passionate individual with strong business acumen, innate ability to elevate brand standards, create guest experiences, and craft an environment with the finest employee work culture. With 19 years of diverse experience, Chauhan's key strengths lie in hotel operations, marketing, F&B, team management, and financial management. Welcome to the show, Kunal.
Thank you, Ranju.
To move on, it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to Suraj Kumar Jha, who is currently the General Manager of Crowne Plaza, Ahmedabad City Centre. A passionate and accomplished hotelier with over 2 decades of experience in operations and business development, Suraj is known for his strategic leadership. At IHG, Suraj started his career with Holiday Inn Mumbai International Airport in 2013. He has also worked with the Radisson Hotel Group and Zuri Hotels and Resorts. Prior to joining Crowne Plaza Ahmedabad City Centre, he was the GM with Crowne Plaza, today Gurugram, over 3 years. With a core focus on building a strong culture that inspires the workforce, he has been awarded titles such as General Manager of the Year, Profit Leadership of the Year. Welcome, Suraj. A very hearty welcome. We then move on to Rajesh Chakraborty, Cluster General Manager of Vivanta Aurangabad and Dean of IHM Aurangabad in Maharashtra. Rajesh has been a part of IHCL for over 24 years now and has successfully led various hotels in different cities in India and abroad. Rajesh oversees the functioning of the prestigious educational institute IHM Aurangabad as well. His passion for hoteliering has been driven over the years through his innovative creation of varied F&B concepts. He's well-rounded as a professional who has excelled in hotel operations, gaining expertise in both F&B and accommodations, a rare combo. Rajesh brings a wealth of capability and hospitality expertise. He's known for his strong banqueting and F&B skills. Rajesh, a very, very warm welcome to you.
Thank you, Ranju, for the introduction.
Gorav Arora, General Manager, Novotel Mumbai, Juhu Beach. We move on to Gorav, a seasoned hospitality professional with over 2 decades of experience. Gorav has been associated with Accor for over 7 years now and has been GM of the Novotel Mumbai, Juhu Beach for the last 3 years. Prior to moving to Mumbai, he was the resident manager at the Novotel Hyderabad Convention Center and International Convention Center of Hyderabad. Gorav has proved a record of boosting revenue growth, holds a strong background in F&B, room sales, convention, associations, banquet sales, and marketing. He is noted for his ability to consistently achieve performance goals through focused approach and initiatives. Gorav, a very warm welcome to you too. Anshul, moving on to you. Anshul is the General Manager and Brand Master Chef, currently located at Fortune Park, Lakecity in Thane, Mumbai. After passing out from Welcome Group Graduate School of Administration, Anshul has been associated with Fortune Hotels. He has worked in various units as chef operations and executive chef, and was also a part of the core team responsible for pre-opening Fortune Hotels. During that span, he opened 17 hotels with Fortune all across India. Wow, Anshul. For the last 3 years, he has been positioned as General Manager and Brand Master Chef for Jupiter Lifeline Hospitals, Thane, instrumental in handling F&B operations of the multi-speciality hospital chain currently operating in Thane, Pune, and Indore. Anshul, a very warm welcome to you too. What a brilliant panel of speakers. We are honored and it's a great pleasure to welcome you here. Over to you, Bhuvnesh.
Thank you, Ranju. That was a great introduction and welcome everybody again. Now, let's get down straight away to a question to you, Ranju. Let me begin with you. Tell me, what are the challenges for an industry that has F&B as perhaps the strongest business and experience pillar? Earlier high street fine dining restaurants, now cloud kitchens, and then the taxes that separate these so-called 5 stars from the others.
Bhuvnesh, I think the one challenge that was always there, though not visible to us as much as it is now with the emerging world, is the fact that there are several and more standalone establishments and restaurants that have come our way and are doing a brilliant job in elevating the F&B experience in different cities. Initially, they were there, but they were somewhere at the background. But as the world is evolving, travel is increasing, expertise is changing hands, and there are a lot of establishments coming up. This has become the singular most biggest challenge for five-star hotels or hotels which also house restaurants. They are excellent in what they do. Some of them, especially at least the top ranked ones, are excellent in what they do. Their concepts, their ambience, their delivery can match any five-star hotel today. And a lot of them actually give us a run for our money. And mind you, they sweat their assets because their establishments are much smaller and the expectations are fairly a rung lower. I think they sweat their assets extremely well, which we in the hoteliering world are sometimes unable to. In the recent past, as all of us have experienced, and we do this very often in our personal lives, if you look at home delivery as well, and I have personally experienced some of these standalone restaurants, they do a brilliant job, whether it's the food, whether it's the packaging, whether it's the delivery, it's the interaction with the people who come to do that. I think they do a fairly good job with that. And the question mark, the only question mark in this entire experience probably is a little bit of the hygiene factor, which is a niggling thing in your mind. But because we probably don't see it, we set it aside and move on with our experience. Restaurants in a five-star hotel, Bhuvnesh, are a part of a larger ecosystem. There are rooms, there are banquetings, there are restaurants. So you cannot, the parameters that they operate under sometimes are very tight. For example, today there's a very important table that comes to a standalone restaurant and you have to give a complimentary round of drinks, right? It is the manager who takes the call and just delivers that experience. In a hotel, the server goes and tells the supervisor will go and tell the manager, there will be forms to be filled. Everybody knowing that the next morning they might be questioned about their decision by the general manager, the director of finance. So there are a lot of parameters which actually tie you down in a restaurant, in a hotel, because it is a part of an ecosystem. It's one of the services you provide. It's not the only service you provide. So I think the thought process of these standalone establishments are very, very different to us, and they're doing a very good job with it. So I would say that's the singular most biggest challenge that we have. You are right, taxation is different and the slabs are different, but I would like to believe that the people who come to five-star hotels come for the ambience, come for the service levels, come for a lot of other softer things than just and they're willing to buy the, to pay for the taxation that's levied to them. So I would like to give the other aspect far more weightage than the weightage on the taxes.
I tend to echo your views, but yes, in stressed times like now, which obviously won't last forever, I think we're almost at the end of the edge, so to say, of the stress that we've seen over the last 2 years. But I guess it'll all even out and people will come thronging back to the hotels. And yes, I agree, the elevated experience and the sheer delight of being handled as well as a institutionalized five-star service is a different level. Now, let me hand this over to you. Why don't you take the show ahead?
Sure. Thank you, Bhuvnesh. All right, Anshul, the question comes your way. Are we ready?
Yes, please.
All right. So cloud kitchens, a challenge or an opportunity? They have mastered their business model to an art form, be it delivery efficiency and timings, portion size, variety, quality, or rates. and with a ready clientele. So they are proliferating at a very good speed. Do we consider them or just ignore them, keep them aside and do our own thing?
All right. So if we talk about cloud kitchen, so maybe 2 years prior, no hotel would consider the cloud kitchen. But this pandemic has taught us a lot of things and also changed the business trend. So now if you talk about cloud kitchen, we will have to give a thought about it, because previously the mindset of the customers were also different. If they want to celebrate something, they would want to go to a hotel, in a banquet, or in an outlet, or maybe in a bar. But now, considering the pandemic and the safety norms, they prefer to order online, or even if they have to go to hotel or outlet, though they go in a smaller group. So definitely the hotels and 5-star category segment will have to look into this market segment. One more point which I thought was, earlier the cloud kitchen used to cater very mid-market segment. The order pricing was not more than 100 to 150 rupees. But now, since we have an option to get into it, we can also cater the luxurious need of the market, wherein we have good chefs in our hotels who can design the menu in a way that it can be presented. And also, I was recently talking to a lot of online aggregators, and they just told us that the demand for diet food or a healthy meals have gone drastically up, especially during this pandemic. And hotels have the resource. We have one of the best chefs of each different cuisine, and who will be better to make cuisines and curate dishes in a healthier way. So it is definitely a plus point for us, and we'll be able to, cater. And in terms of efficiency in timing, portions, variety and quality of food, we have been doing the same thing from ages in the hotel. We have standardized recipes, we have standardized portion controls. It's just that the cloud kitchens have also learned this from us, and now they're mastering it, and they have set up precise time in which they are delivering the meals to the guests. So it is in fact in my own hotel, since we are associated with the hospital, we have this cost control, portion control meals which we are giving it to the guest, and the menu is designed in a way that it is beneficial to both. So yes, I personally feel that it's a new market segment. The hotel should consider it going forward. And yes, we have the option of designing in our menu in a way that we can cater to both the segment, mid-market segment and even the luxurious segment, so that it's a cost beneficial proportion for us.
Thank you, Anshul. So you were saying that they have shown us a mirror. It is a wake-up call for even hoteliers, but we have a much longer period of having the tenacity or the efficiency or the background to deliver stuff, and that we should up our game as well now, because cloud kitchens are springing up.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
and
you.
The trend is also changing. Yes.
And the trends are changing. The client needs are changing. Yeah. Thank you, Anshul. Thank you for your insight.
And also, Ranju, I think our industry has exported all those chefs and processes to the cloud kitchen, so to say.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So some are startups, some are mere employment opportunities.
Absolutely. I know. Great. Thank you. All right. So we move on to our next question. Jaideep, if I may direct this at you. 5-star hotels and their restaurants are all about top-class service and culinary experiences. And that is why customers throng them and patronize them over a period of time. Otherwise, they could go to any restaurant. After all, they all serve food. In this context, and given the last 2 years and the challenges they have posed for our industry, we would like to hear from you about two aspects. One, is taking fine dining experience to the customer possible at all, or is it a myth? Second, if it is realistically possible, after all, the cloud kitchens and high street restaurants are all delivering food unless snob value comes into play and the customer only wants food from a branded 5-star restaurant. Do let us know what you think about that.
So namaskar, and a very grateful for such a kind introduction. I'll answer the first question. Being a luxury boy all my life, I have huge worries about food moving from the counter to the table, not moving from the counter to the table. I've been a food and beverage man all my life. I'm a very proud waiter. I have a fair idea of the kitchens as well. Three things happen. Aesthetically, no matter how you transport food, it gets rogered. 1. 2, health and safety. I mean, we keep talking about COVID times, right? And people, I'm not saying it's not good beneficially, in the sense financially, it's all good for us. We have a new stream that we've been introduced by force of God to bring in. But in my opinion, the moment food gets out of the kitchen, out of a safety net of a hotel, and then gets transported, the quality of the transportation, the quality of the human being carrying the transportation, the quality of delivery, there are so many gaps that can happen, and particularly in these safe times, one should be very careful in where we're ordering from and who we're ordering from. And I'm sure there's some of us in the cloud kitchens and specialty restaurants who are doing a great job. But there is a worry, right? Which is why I champion for the restaurants, eating in the restaurants. Third thing is, food naturally deteriorates. I mean, you order a golden fried prawns out of any cloud kitchen or any hotel, it's not going to taste the same crispiness that it came out of a counter. It's true. There are some foods that carry well. I mean, if you were to ask me how you should balance this, I would tell Anshul that we should be able to, or others in this group and outside this group, that we should be able to choose what can travel well, does not deteriorate, and aesthetically looks the same. As long as somebody at the last end it has the ability to plate it like one of our chefs. I'm sure it's difficult to plate, even for Anshul at a distance. It's tough. So that's my first answer. The second answer is that basically, I think your question is that do we compete with retail restaurants? Do we retail with cloud kitchens when we send our product out? Yes, we do. We are at that point in time, if a customer chooses the option of dining at home or dining at the office or dining somewhere else, yes, we do compete. Here, I think 2 or 3 things that we need to monitor. We need to make sure that as a luxury hotelier, we cater to the last 3 points I said. We should choose what will stay well, which will carry well, and ensure that the chain of from moving from the counter to the table plate, the dining table, we've carried forward our promise of safety, food safety and hygiene. As long as we can do that, as you said, the wow element, it's not just the food, it's not just the as you said, the ambiance, but it's also a little bit of a wanting to be there, which one misses if one has it in one's own dining room. And I do that very often because my kids order from cloud kitchen. So I'd rather go out and eat, at a restaurant, but I'm old school and I'm old age. So that's my answer. Cheers.
Thank you, Jaideep. I think you made a very pertinent point when you say that there are certain things, especially something like fried spinach will not be the same after 45 minutes when it reaches somebody's home, and then another 15 minutes to reach the dining table. So I think one just needs, if it's venturing into this, one needs to be careful of the items and the delicacies that you are putting out there for people to relish.
I'll give you a small example. Ranju. Yes. Just order French fries from any bloody cloud kitchen or any hotel. It's a disaster. You're tending to eat oil with mashed potatoes. That's all you eat. It's oily mashed potatoes.
Yes, but yet if you ask your kids, they will order French fries at least twice a week.
I lose the argument every single day.
I know. I think it's just a catch-22 situation, to be or not to be. But I think if it is to be, then I think you so made a valid point that is just the right way to be. I think that's the path one has to look for. Thank you for your insights on that.
So Ranju, I have a thought for Mr. Anand, and I think.
Oh, this is heating up. I love this.
Yeah. So because
yes, Kunal.
And I come from. At some stage, I think that's the help which the pandemic has given to us as an industry. At some stage, I remember the time training in the same hotels where Mr. Anand used to be, where he has opened certain restaurants, and the point was, at one time we were the ultimate choice where you would get that best French fry in town. No longer, right? We would get a pork chop imported right there. It's no longer we don't lay claim to amazing product available. And I think that's where our game needs to be up. One, of course, we are from an industry which is detail oriented. I think we pay far more attention to what we are offering, how we are offering. We worry about how we'll move that room service order to the guest room at the right temperature, right? Whether we are putting tea cozies over a cup of tea, we try and do our best to ensure the highest quality. But I think it's very important to differentiate between, like Anshul mentioned, what kind of dining do you wish to compete for? Are you in the business of comfort dining and do you want to send burgers and pizzas to people's house? If you can't sustain the burger or the pizza at the right temperature and the right quality, or you are somebody who's trying to get into gourmet dining experiences. I'm sorry, I think somebody's mic is on, so that's echoing. The point remains, no problem. If I'm in the business of getting a gourmet meal to somebody's house, so sure, I can't get you a roast duck, but I can get you amazing duck confit, which I think if you were to open a consolidator right now or a platform to try and get a nice Western meal home, you might struggle to find that. And I think that's where our guests, so what it has opened is a lot more people have experimented with ordering with a 5-star. It's an untapped segment. It allows us the play to get into that segment and show our mastery right there. That's one of getting just a comfort meal home. When it comes to gourmet experiences, I think this is what we were meant for, and we take the bar up now at the next level. And I think the third and the most important is, which we are not talking about right now, is that a whole new market is opened up where people today, and I think for some more time, will be very comfortable to host guests at their home. So I think there is a market for Louis Philippe and Louis Vuitton. And I think if we were the Louis Vuitton, I think we need to get to people's houses and deliver that quality which we are known for. So that's my 2 bits on it.
Wow, Kunal.
ये काफी अच्छा मारा लुई विटोन वाला कह रहा होगा ये
लुई फिलिप बिल्कुल मतलब इस पूरे शो में if there is the sentence of the show, then the award already goes to Kunal on the Louis Vuitton and Louis Philippe comparison. Yeah, but
also I think there is a case. Now let me tell you, we are soon going to be the generation gone, right? So the generation X, Z, or whatever they are coming in with, we have to cater and deliver to their nuances and expectations. They want to eat at home. They want to come to the hotel. We need to be up to the act.
True. I think what I can sense and I can smell is very healthy competition, because everybody is vying for survival. Today's day and age, last 2 years, it's all been about survival. And then you up your game and then move forward in the game going forward. So it's good to see that there is healthy competition. There is people trying to elevate their own products, their own services, and I think that is the way to go forward, whichever business you are in, not just about the food business. So thank you, gentlemen, for these healthy war of words. That was very nice. Rajesh, if I may move on to you, my next question is directed at you. Prohibitive rates make it absolutely unaffordable for the bingers, and given the downturn where income has been impacted, as we all know it, what is the right level where you don't lose out and the customer finds it good to come and indulge in 5-star hotels?
Thank you, Ranju, for this question. And thank you, Mr. Bhuvnesh, once again for having me in
Pleasure,
this
sir.
esteemed show. It's a very interesting, question, and it's a very important question, which hoteliers grapple through, not in this downturn time, but it's always like an ongoing issue as hoteliers face through. So prohibition rates, when I'll give you a couple of examples to take you through this particular question, which will be pertinent at this juncture of time, like consumption of beer, wine, spirits, and gourmet foods in star hotels is definitely inhibited on account of excise laws and taxation policies. Unfortunately, if these categories need to be made profitable, the markup and margins are critical. That decision lies with the individual hotels or the company policy. So this is a chicken and egg situation. My next point would be the way out is that one has to incentivize spending by offering value for money, because this is one way this can be done only if policymakers change some of the draconian policies on excise regulations, as well as the duties and the taxation to make the landed prices of this liquor affordable for the hoteliers as well as for the guests who visit our hotels. The second point, hoteliers are not in a position to take decision on pricing many a times in bars unless there is a change in the policy framework and incentivize, which will be possible only by domestic spending, and it must be by the customers and service providers alike for mutual benefits. The increase in hotel liquor pricing, as you all know, compared to market price, only drives our potential guests to the retail outlets where it is easier to purchase and potential customers in the privacy of their rooms. The same holds true for our food delivery apps as well that sell food at lower rates. I'll give you an example. A bottle of liquor or wine or a beer imported, by the time it landed to a hotel, there are so many tax and duties are being incurred, whether it's the excise duty, the custom duty, VAT on the MRP, and then the transportation. And put together, the landing cost generally fares 200 to 300% when it reaches the hotel. I'll give you another example in terms of doing a banqueting event with cocktails at any of the hotels, where guests need to procure a one-day liquor license exclusively for the event. And if the numbers are very lesser, maybe ranging from 15 to 20, guests find this business offer from the hotel very exorbitant, considering the value added by the license. So on the whole, I would, give my overview that this has to be represented not only by the hotelier, by the industry bodies, association, and the customer also. And the way forward at immediate basis, what I can see that the markup and the rates what we are providing to the customer, it has to be made interesting and lucrative so that it is a win-win for both guests as well as for the hotelier.
Ranju, before you
Yes.
come in, can I just do a retort? I just want to add a couple of thoughts to all of us in this room on food and beverage, costing and flow-throughs. May I, with your permission?
Yes, of course, absolutely.
Rajesh, we keep blaming the world, the state governments, the national governments. And I'll tell you, having worked in Western Europe as a kid, having worked in Australia, taxation in a lot of these places is also very high, especially when it goes to luxury hotels or hotel business. And they've been competing much, much, much earlier with standalones than we have, right? One of the things that probably all of us are quite influential in our organizations, particularly Ranju, we may possibly look at our profitability in terms of per wine bottle sold or per, peg sold. We stop doing that, increase our volumes, kick ass like organizations like Wine Company, etc., who sell by the bottle, and lots of people do now, right? Whiskey Samba, all these organizations have worked the volume game, beaten the taxation based on that, and have got a better flow through. Eventually, the flow through remains the same. You still get a 35, 38% profitability, 40% profitability in restaurants, as long as you can drive your volumes up smartly. I mean, just a thought. I thought I'd share it with you.
No, I completely agree with you, Jaideep, and what you said is correct, that unless and until we do something of our own, and which is currently in our hand, that's the markup and the margin, which we need to, see that it should be interested for the guest. And along with the liquor, there'll be an add-on value for the guest when they dine at the restaurant with the food orders and other, ancillary things at the hotel.
That way we can beat them at their own game. I can only say Shikanji where I work right now. But jahan main bech sakta tha, to main to yehi karta tha. And I would beat them at their own game. I was in the heart of the top food and beverage places in my last assignment as head of Gurgaon. And I beat them at their game, playing this game. And I would tell my president, look at my flow through. Look at my GOP and F&B. Is it there? Fine. And let me do what I want to do.
We can feel your pain in Gandhinagar. Jaideep, it's coming across from the screen. So thank you for that. Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you so much for your inputs. Moving on, Suraj, over to you for the next question. Unless corporate travel begins, the entitled employee customer is not going to binge. Who will then fill in for them? How and when?
Well, thank you, Ranju. And I think what I would like to start talking about is that we will have to learn to steal the business. Right? I think the world has come at that way. Talking about F&B, I think the F&B has become essential to the hotel's positioning in every city, right? And I think in today's time, it's a lot more a way to connect with the F&B community. Talking about corporate, I don't think it's dried up. It's been there with certain restrictions coming on and off. I think the travel has been there. If I was to talk about my hotel, the corporate travel has been there. In fact, there are quite a few projects closer to my hotel. I mean, in fact, the government has been encouraging a lot of investment there. We recently missed one of the Vibrant Gujarat events, which is known for its driving investments in this part of the world. So what's happening is that a lot of corporate travels related to projects, related to relocation, long stays, I think these are the travels. And with hotels, the advantage is that if these guests stay at the hotel, the F&B obviously gets the fair share in terms of either in-room dining or restaurants. Also, because of safety reasons, I think a lot of people don't want to go out and explore eating outside. The other thing is that when we talk about staycation and things like that, I'm sure everybody knows about staycation, but it has been in the move. In fact, people have been resorts are doing exorbitantly well business. In fact, if you look at the rates, either room or the F&B composition, I mean, I was to talk about weddings. Udaipur, I'm told the hotels are selling at, a room night sale is roughly in the region of about $1 lakh plus a night for weddings, even in the period where the other hotels are struggling. And this has given way to a lot more weddings, which were otherwise not happening in city locations. So today, a lot of destination wedding where people wanted to go to, let's say, Goa, Udaipur, Jaipur, they're returning back. They want to get their weddings done here. And a very important element in the same segment, what we've also realized is that Chat Mangi Pat Byah, because a lot of young children, when they're returning back to see their parents, because the COVID has restricted the number of travels, they're finding a girl or a boy, make them suitable, match, and get them married with an intimate wedding will drop a size of about 50, 100 guests and not more than that. In addition, I think the corporate events are also returning back to the hotels. I see a lot of strategy, business meeting, acquisition meeting, non-banking financial companies meeting, MLA meeting, clubs. They're also doing a lot of businesses in the hotel space at this point in time. And within the R&B space, I think a lot more delivery and takeaways. We have been discussing about a lot more delivery and takeaways, how this has been working. A lot more companies are kind of taking brunches as takeaway, which wasn't a trend about a couple of years back. Brunches used to be enjoyed at the restaurants, but we now see that a lot of restaurants are sending brunches at their homes, or people are even coming and picking them up. I think we will have to also learn in terms of looking at how can we try and organize experiential, because what had happened was when the restaurant had shut down, the standalone restaurants during the COVID time, the hotel had survived. Of course, very difficult survival situation, but we survived. And that's some of the benefit that we kind of drive today, because the relationship continued, the guest rate coming in. Sometimes the numbers were less, sometimes the numbers were more. But today, I guess there is tremendous opportunity in terms of maintaining that relationship and carrying that forward. That's how I feel about it, Ranju, in terms of difficult times. And I'm sure, like other cities, Ahmedabad also has seen a very strong nodes of ups and downs. And people do return back immediately. Like November and December were exorbitantly well placed for F&B and rooms business as well. I mean, we did better occupancies than pre-COVID era. Now we're looking back, these demands seems to be coming back.
True that. I think just when we had started celebrating Suraj, another variant comes in and makes life difficult. But I think we are again crawling back, and that's the positive lining to the entire thing. And you're right. I think weddings have the number of weddings have increased during this time, though the volumes are much lesser. I hope for your sake that the Deaf Expo continues to be held in March. Yes, keeping fingers crossed. All the best for that. Yeah, thank you, Suraj. Moving on to Kunal. Kunal, the next question is for you. Is there a case for taking hotel fine dining brands to client homes on a sustainable basis via delivery on a regular basis and making it affordable? That could also cannibalize our very own restaurants' fine dining experience and business. What are your thoughts on that?
So I will take away from what I basically said earlier, that yes, there is a case. There is a case sustainable by the number of people we touch, not by repeated orders. And of course, that can depend on what kind of a specialty you're taking to people's houses. But I think today, for a simple matter, I know at Marriott, we do it very on a very organized and a very serious scale. So a brunch, which used to be about a 140 covers, when I deliver 30 boxes to people's houses, that's a considerable amount of revenue getting to people's houses being delivered, right? Up to 24%. And I think we are still not completely in the game yet, because I think as we see this segment grow, I hope to see a lot more specialization. I hope to see a manager managing focused these platforms. If there is, and if I was to be in an area where today there was an overwhelming demand for people asking me to come home and bring the restaurant experience home, it completely calls for a outdoor dining wing for that restaurant. If each night I know of chefs who are getting to people's houses and they don't do it for everyone, that's what makes it a wanted commodity. But when they come home and cook, the revenue is as good as your restaurant's one night sale. And why not? More importantly, from the point of view of, I think, in a world where on every online platform, whether it's a food delivery platform or a room booking platform, I think everybody's spoiled for choices. And I think a very important part of managing loyalty is to keep your customer very close to your heart. Guard him at all times. Make sure from his pressing to his food delivery, you are the choice. And I think I would do anything to be in that space always.
Thank you. Thank you for speaking so passionately. Just remind us to increase your Marriott Bonvoy on Wheels revenue budget for next year. All right. Thank you, Kunal, so much. Gorav, over to you. The question that comes your way is, loyalty programs, have they worked, helped, and brought in customers, or have they run their course and need to be reinvented to make the proposition sweeter?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Ranju, for the question. I think the loyalty programs have absolutely worked. There is no doubt about it. A lot of customers say that having a loyalty program helps them to stay loyal with a brand. I'll talk of my company. We've got 2 loyalty programs in the India scheme of things for Accor. One is Accor Plus, and second is All, which is Accor Live Limitless. When the pandemic started and there were hotels which were shut, there were customers who were not coming, guests who were not coming. When the relaxations came in and the business started coming back, we realized that 48% of our business came through our member base, which mentions that there was only that loyal customers who were coming back to us. So there was a kind of a trust economy which was working, and only if they trust your brand, they would come back to you, or they would want to come to you. But at the same time, I think loyalty programs need to be upgraded time and again. Accor had the loyalty program. I mean, when I started the first job about 22 years before, there was a loyalty program in that hotel, and many hotels had a similar kind of a thing. You dine, 2 people dine, you get 50% discount. 3 people dine, you get 33% discount. And then over the time, that was kind of every hotel had it, and then there were inventions done onto it. Accor redid its loyalty program about 3 years before, in 2018-19, and Le Club, which was the erstwhile program, got upgraded to Accor Live Limitless. And another part which got added to it was the all dining offer. So most of the loyalty programs which were off the hotel room, you get reward points in that. But what got added in that also was, if you dine in, and even if you're not a resident guest, you earn points onto it. Now, everyone thought that with pandemic, the customer base would not increase, but since 48% of our business came through our member base, at the same time, we realized that the Accor Plus member base for India increased by about 11% from 2019 to 2021. And 50% of that base is sitting in the western region of the hotel I represent, which is Novotel Mumbai Juhu Beach. Now, the erstwhile membership F&B loyalty programs were more to do with reward points. And I think over the last few years, they have graduated to tactical benefits, which are just not the reward or the financial dimension. It has brought in the engagement and the experiential dimension to the entire loyalty program as well. Last year, we did certain events to kind of engage with our customers and our member base. We partnered with a lady called Seema Taparia. I'm not sure if many of us have heard about her, but she was the Indian matchmaker. She has a very popular web series on Netflix. So she traveled all across to our Novotels and kind of engaged with our customers. There was talk about her show. Movie Under the Stars, that was another thing which we did for getting our members and experience movie sitting in hotel. All has been the principal sponsor or the main sponsor for the PSG team in France. The Accor Stadium in Sydney. These are certain just examples which continue to kind of say that the F&B loyalty program is important. It is there for stay, and it is important that we all look into it. What I strongly feel, to sum up my thoughts, the loyalty programs foster an emotional bond between a customer and a brand, and it is an important point for a customer to get recognized right now. The return on investment is extremely high for a repeat client. So if you were to get in a new client, yes, it would be far more expensive for you as compared to getting in a repeat client. The loyalty program also helps you in getting the new customers. And at the same time, it helps you get in a lot of customer information, which helps you plan your next event, which helps you plan your next food promotion, and helps you in terms of what kind of a promotion you should do for your customers and for your guests. So overall, nutshell, yes, they are important. Yes, they have been there for many years, and yes, they are there to stay, but they are constantly to be reinvented and looking at what the customer needs are. So that's what I feel.
Completely agree with you. Though I must pick up one point and pull your leg. If 50% of the growth of 2021 in loyalty numbers has come from your hotel, I hope you earn a good bonus this year. So all the best with that.
So the overall member base got increased from the western region. And yes, the hotel is wonderful.
Then this best practice has to be carried to other hotels. All right. So Ranju, let me come back to you. All right.
Okay.
Delhi-born Punjabi that I am, and from my girth, you could see I'm doing fairly well with the portions that I take in, right? So tell me, portions can be tricky, too less or too much, and given the rates, what are your views?
Okay, so just when I was getting comfortable asking all the questions and not getting stressed, you turn the tables on me. But yes, I will answer this question. I think I will take a few cues from what Rajesh said. It is a double-edged sword. We all know, and with several years of hoteliering that all of us have on this forum, we all know there are two types of clients. One, where there'll be a family of 10 will order 2 paneers, 2 dals, and then just rotis as pass-arounds, right? For them, is it too much or too less? Portion size is a completely different question. And then you have couples coming in, ordering 4 or 5 dishes, trying everything. And then again, you ask yourself that question. And when you go to clear the table, obviously there's a lot left there. And then there is another kind of clientele who will come for breakfast, and they take so much on their plates and never finish them. And there's so much of food that is spoiled from the buffet. You ask yourself this question: how much is too much and how little is too little, right? I don't think it is about the portion size, Bhuvnesh. I think hotels in general should concentrate on the value for money that they give in whatever price they put there. At no point, like I said earlier on in my opening comments, that it is food is like religion. It's very personal to you. And many of us are brought up with the value that you do not leave food, you do not waste food. Every time I waste food, my mom's advice comes ringing back. Kitne bacche hain duniya mein jinko khana nahi milta, right? It never goes away because you've been brought up with those values. And yet, invariably, there are times when portion sizes are too large. You don't realize them. You order it in your enthusiasm. I think what is very, very important for us as hoteliers is that when a guest leaves the table or wheels the trolley outside the room, he or she should not feel cheated for the money that they have paid for that. And I think what is very, very important is a little bit of sensitivity and personalization that is required. If my husband and I are traveling and you have an order taker and I say, do you think 1 portion of rice is enough for us? I'm a small eater. I think the order taker should take the cue. Order 1 portion and maybe ask chef, put in a little more just in case, because they don't seem to be big eaters. We never do that. We send the standard size, even if it's 1 person ordering from the room or 2 people, if 1 portion has been ordered. Today, if I'm a single lady, and I'm a single lady traveler all the time because of my work, and I go to a hotel, if I ask for 1 dal, 1 sabzi and roti, it's huge. I end up wasting. So almost every time I order just a portion of khichdi, because that is something you would finish. Because 1 portion of rice, and that is when the order taker should say, can I give you a smaller portion, 2 smaller portions of sabzi or 1 small portion of dal? And we don't do that. We just take the order and we just deliver. It's like a good oiled machine running on. So I think the focus should be on value for money rather than portioning as a separate segment and pricing as a separate segment. I think it should just go hand in hand. And there is no right or wrong answer here, Bhuvnesh, at the end of the day. A big portion might be small for you and vice versa, right? But I think it's just the sensitivity and the value for money that is more important there.
I agree with you. And, you spoke about something which I was going to say. I think the order taker has to be sensitive. He has to spec out and measure out how many people on the table. And if somebody is ordering, say, 2 dals, he should say, sir, I would suggest you go for 1 and order for another 1 through if you fall short, because this much is enough for you all.
Yes. We always underestimate the spoilage that happens with pickles, papad and dal. And for us, it's nothing, just wheeled in as accompaniments, right, into our room. But none of us end up really eating the whole thing. There's huge bowl of each kind of pickle, and there are 2 or 3 to go with. So I guess just that little bit of sensitivity of to how many people, what kind of
agree with you.
and the value that you are charging for that is important.
Back to you, Ranju.
Can I take the baton back? Of course. Yeah. I love this role. All right. The next question now, again, Kunal, over to you. Is there a case for creating clientele groups or clubs for groups of customers where they can all come together for a fixed but discounted cover charge and indulge at fixed intervals, at fixed days and dates that will fill up over deal offerings? At least the flow-in and large groups and table occupancies are assured. What are your views? For example, kitty clubs, alumni, old students, or just common food interest groups that we could call foodies.
Well, out of all of them, I'm a big fan of people with common interest groups, because I think that not only makes for a great eating time, but also a great company. However, I would change that question a bit to say, is there a place for everyone in your restaurant? Yes, absolutely. Discount, I don't like, but we could easily say that today with technology, I could easily do time-wise, demand-based pricing, time-wise pricing, and not really be discounting anything. So sure, that as an option exists today. We could easily be switching our timing, depending on what our low timing of the restaurant is, into a different kind of a menu. And I think that's another great thing to learn from airport retail. You walk through the same corridor, and for the next flight, that window changes, right? And it brings out what exactly people flying to a US would buy. And then, a Middle East flight is passing through and you change something in your offering. It doesn't have to be the whole menu or essence change. What I basically mean is the Indian restaurant does not need to start serving Middle Eastern food. But yes, you keep in mind who you're dealing with. And I think that's a very big play. I see it as a big play from the point of view of marketing a restaurant. I see the moment you start to, and it's always been our thing. If 20 years back, wine sales in our restaurant used to be a concern, today you see how many people are drinking wine and understand wine, and how your 1,200 bottles have shifted to 7,000 bottles. And it's a whole process of educating people, getting them in, getting them comfortable into your space, and knowing you can cater to everything that they wish for. So yes, for a long time, kitty parties have been our hot favorite. And the fact is, the aunties have always liked the restaurant they like. Deals don't matter. And I say this because if you've been in certain part of certain cities and certain good locations, you will realize that there's more money on that table than most restaurants, right? So I'm a big fan of being able to understand your clientele, price your product to meet their requirement, and of course, offer a product which makes sense to them. It could be aunties, it could be a gourmet club, it could be a new club which says Saturday afternoon with pets and food being outside. I think there's a market for that as well. And generic restaurants and the eras of the coffee shop chefs, right, who make from Chinese to everything, I think that's done.
Kunal, I turned 50 a couple of months back, so the term auntie is a little sensitive to me.
No, auntie is a thought process, no longer the age.
Don't give it away, Ranju.
Thank you. All right. Since there's a little paucity of time, we'll run quickly through the next questions. Anshul, over to you, please. Catching them young, given the frugality of budgets with the youngsters, beyond, of course, the upper crust of the society, hotels could miss out on those clients. How do we manage the Gen Next and the business that they bring on a regular basis?
If we see the younger client, previously the 60 to 70% of the orders which they used to place was only pizzas. But now the hotels have given them multiple options to choose, and the youngsters have tendency to catch up the trend faster, and they love to try different things. And we have a good opportunity wherein we can not only earn revenue from them, but yes, they do a lot of marketing activity on social media for us, which helps us a lot by posting the food photographs or cocktails or mocktails. So it's a free marketing for the hotel. So there are segment of youngsters who are not able to afford the 5-star category hotels, F&B. But yes, now the trend has come that the lot of high-end outlets are launching 4 to 5 courses of tasting menu, which are small menu, highly presentable, So we did something similar like this in Thane when we launched, since the molecular gastronomy is a fad now. So we launched a 4 to 5 course small tasting menu, and it was a great success. And similarly, in one of our property in Goa, had done a promotion on black bun burger, which became very popular with the youngsters, and it became a talk of the town. And every year, every year it's a great demand in that part of Goa. So yes, I would say that the youngsters are very important because they they try things, they are ready to take risks. But yes, we'll have to do the pricing in such a way that you are catering to all the kinds of a need. And at the end, the generations might change, but our strength of providing good quality food as a brand remains with us. So we need to, cater each and every segment. This is what I feel.
Thank you, Anshul. I think next time I'm in Goa, I would definitely like to try the black bun bourbon that you just spoke about. Sounds very interesting. Jaideep, over to you for the next question. Food carnivals across brands, or for that matter, at a hotel of the chain, can be a good Kickstarter to bring the numbers and dovetail that with home deliveries that we have going. What are your thoughts about it?
First part, completely agree, which is that, at Leela Hotels, Anurag is another food and beverage passionate person, and we've got Natasha now at the corporate level who assists us in food and beverage. We have a loyal guest base who travel across Leela Hotels. And when you look at Kunal's ex-hotel, he worked very hard, and his predecessors worked very hard to get Jamawar right where it is. Jamawar today is a brand. I mean, it's a quality Indian restaurant with a real royal taste to it. Food, service, ambiance, delivery, luxe. It's got everything. We don't have a Jamawar in every Leela hotel. So pop-ups, as you call it, or whatever you want to call it, food festival, food carnival, pop-ups. I think it helps a lot. It helps rejuvenate the hotel that is being benefited through a pop-up. It also helps taking the brand to other cities. And also, again, scares a comp set that, the hotels also have some major winners amongst themselves. Why not showcase them? Le Cirque is another restaurant that we're very proud of. It's a Michelin star restaurant. And it's not just the gain that the hotel guests and what it does to the dollar, at the end of the day, in terms of the restaurant revenue, but it also helps cross-expose and cross-train the teams. You very rarely would you have a Michelin star chef, an Italian guy coming in to Gandhinagar and teaching us the art of making good pasta, right? So it's really, really beneficial. And over the last 2 years, we've looked at like EXO, another brilliant Chinese restaurant we have in South India. And it does extremely well. It's really authentic. It has good Oriental food. Some of our hotels don't have that exposure. So by sending people, putting up pop-ups. In fact, we actually did a test at Ayato. We hosted Ayato at Gandhinagar, and we brought in one such pop-up, and it was a stupendous hit. And none of you were there, so we missed you. Maybe next time. But it was a stupendous success. So it's not just whatever you want to call it, prop-ups or culinary, food festivals, etc. But they benefit the guest because they get exposed to a different cuisine or a different level of cuisine in the city where they don't have to travel. Two, those who are used to traveling across Leela hotels say, "Oh wow, it's come home." So that's another one. Three, it brings revenue to the host hotel. Four, it gives exposure to the chefs who are going, and particularly the chefs who are receiving these guests. So it's all plus. Now, again, could I send Le Cirque to somebody's home? I've got to be very careful about that. Would I send EXO to somebody's home? I mean, I know the way Kunal is thinking, and a lot of us are thinking that, yes, it gives revenue. But would I risk Le Cirque as a brand, Leela, at somebody's home? I'd be careful.
But Jaideep, coming back.
I would be careful. I know it's money. I know it's on the table. I know sometimes at presently we have, allow me to complete, Bhuvaneswar.
Yeah.
I know at this point in time, we don't have such volumes, but the volumes will come. God is kind. Omicron will go one day, or some COVID 3, COVID 4 will go. When that happens, when you got 40 seaters, 40 people sitting, paying you top dollar at Le Cirque or Exo or Jamavad, would you risk sending 2 of your best chefs to somebody's home to make a lakh? No. It's too much. It's the brand. I mean, all of us, we work for the brand. I mean, that cannot be diluted. Luxury brands, Louis Vuittons would not delegate passing on to a Shenzhen factory. They'd be very careful. Even if they do, they just do the cutting there. But the actual stitching and threading has to be done in Italy. It has to be done in Milano. And it is done. I have been to the factory. They bring in stuff, they cut in stuff, they procure, but it's actually assimilated in Milano. I say it because I've seen it.
Rajesh, over to you. It's actually a spin-off of the question we asked Gorav. Referral programs, do they work or they can be dovetailed with loyalty programs?
Referral processes and networks has always been relied upon because they engage our guests and ambassadors and all the associates at the workplace. This referral network is likely to be higher than any individual or chain hotel or with a limited captive database. Each one of our satisfied guests and engaged associates are in a better position to activate and referral network because of the multiple touch points at the hotels and first-hand access to the network resources in the referral system. So it is an active way to develop business at any hotel business. Like I'll give you an example, in our ice sale, it has been very well conceptualized by our sales and marketing that friends and family rates are being extended to all our associates, but only for the rooms. We can build on the concept of referral and align it with loyalty program for services across the board, including food and beverages, spa, retail outlets, so that spending will further increase on that. Like loyalty programs where points are accrued or total spends and then converted into rewards, referral spends can always be considered for total revenue generated rather than only being point of contact oriented. This is definitely the way forward today. And it can be definitely dovetailed with the loyalty program as well. Formal referral networks and alliances, I feel, have limited scope as compared to across the board informal, across wide range of products and services across the organization in any particular company. Live example, Tata Group is again a great example of creating means to buy anything from salt to software. The benefits of referral programs, what I see is increased brand awareness. It increases the conversion rates. It lowers customer acquisition cost. It also gives the more privy to enhance the repeat clientele at your hotel. And retention is the highest compared to the loyalty. So referral, it always works.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you for your stamp of approval on that. My next question to Suraj, though I am sure this question doesn't keep you awake at night, in your current role, booze more often than not becomes an inhibitor given the exorbitant rates in hotels, courtesy the prohibitive taxes and liquor policy. What do you think is the way out?
Boy who comes from Bihar, works currently in Gujarat, right, is perhaps the most competent guy to comment on liquor and liquor sale. All right, now on a lighter note, I think if you look at a data, I think interesting data talks about in India or perhaps, we're the third largest alcohol consuming country in the world. And if I were to look at one of the data, which suggests that if you were talking about increase, we're looking at a 12% CVGR increase year on year in the alcoholic beverages consumption in India. I mean, that's alarming. I mean, not alarming. In fact, that's a very interesting number. Now, if you look at the challenges, I think the current challenges for us, I'm talking about my previous roles in other cities and other hotels. is basically to look at in terms of procurement of licenses, taxations, restrictions, or perhaps as a department call it, control mechanism for certain ways of serving liquor. Also, non-availability of variety as you would see in Europe or American countries. Like, I mean, there are quite a few Indian brands that are now coming up, but they're very, very limited. Like, I mean, you look at Amrut or you look at some other brands other than beers and wines. But I think what could be a good way, I think rationalization of taxes, because Gujarat, the VAT is about 65% on the alcohol that is sold in from the outlet, which is retail outlet. We'll also have to look at ease of import. I mean, when you walk down the down streets in Europe, you get a very interesting bottle of wine in $4, $5, $7, $8, euros, 9 euros, 10 euros, which when you get them in India, the landing cost is so much. And I think to keep our guests deprived of such wonderful product is perhaps not a very good situation to be in, especially from a food and beverage industry. One interesting concept that one of the previous hotels used to do is a 24-hour bar concept. My previous hotel, Crowne Plaza, Gurgaon, has a 24-hour license for running a bar. And that works very well because the trend is changing. It's not about taking hard drinks, 5, 6 drinks, 7 drinks in the evening in the name of alcohol consumption. Now it's all about session drinking. People tend to go out after dinners. People join you in the evening for drinks. People come in for lunches. It has to be an all-inclusive, or if we can talk about it, it could be an inclusive meal drinks where people come in for meals, they meet and they could drink over small meetings, informal meetings, even informal meetings. I mean, that's a new trend that we actually see in today's world. We'll also have to look at how can we make this more bundled package, right? I mean, I agree with what Kunal says. Discounting is a word that we may not be very comfortable, but we look at an appropriate market-driven pricing where the covers are available and we can make an interesting proposition and we can push this as a product for people to take it away, because there are a lot of people who are working from home. There are families, there are young couples who want to go out, and not necessarily everybody wants to go in the evening. And of course, on a lighter note, if you can get a data of young boys club whose partners are traveling, I think that can make them walk into the hotel bars.
True that. Love the last line. Awesome. Thank you, Suraj. Kunal, to a slightly more a serious topic about sustainability. We all know packaging can be expensive and as we see, very elaborate, especially with home deliveries. Sustainable and recyclable packaging. Is there a case for that? Without losing out on the experience whilst we are delivering at home?
So Ranju, I'll consider myself one of those few crusaders against plastic and plastic packaging, but I think for all the years of activism, it started to come down to the ground in form of action. I think it's very nascent stage. I think we still have a lot of ambiguous greenwashing and big titles being used. And also the fact that I must point out that packaging, though, tends to get scrutinized a lot more for what pollution it causes. There are other sources as well. However, I think it's a very, very good start. I think we are the laggards. We are being driven by the newer generation. I think we are being driven by the voice of the people on the internet. And I think if we just scrutinize that data, I think a lot of interesting things come out. And I remember this because at a stage, a few organizations like EarthCheck were trying to talk about sustainable tourism. And we used to rubbish that claim because at the end of that line and the presentation is written, your guests want to know about it, but that doesn't really decide their decision to whether stay with you or not. Now, I think that's changing. So yes, packaging is a very, very good start, and I think it will continue. I think we are at the cusp of a very big revolution. I know, and I find this topic very interesting because since with Marriott, I've done a lot of check back on, and I think we did packaging which is very sustainable, which is environmentally friendly. And I don't think that exercise is over, because with the added pressure, I think this pressure is going back to the delivery system, where each year we'll find better and better packaging for food come out, whether it's plant-based protein or carbs being used for packaging, but that's coming. So I think it's just the beginning. I think there's a lot to do, and I think a lot of it will be driven by our customers demanding it. Like now, we're already working on certain of our restaurants going sustainable. And that is, I think, the next step of evolution. So we will work on packaging. Packaging will improve. But now we are talking about sourcing responsibly, ensuring we're going to the local produce, and goes beyond just food. Packaging is the end product, but there is a lot more which has to be done on the delivery of those ingredients, processing of those ingredients. And I think responsibility is a very important word. And I think every progressive company should look at it. And this will force our delivery partners to improve the quality of what we are getting. So yes, it is a nascent state, but it's a great beginning.
Yeah, I think.
Sorry, Ranju. Let me just come in here. Tell me, is the younger generation up to it, sensitive? And,
when you talk about, and I say this with, we all were taught to earn money, but I think today in schools, people have been taught how to save and grow money. And I think that's where it is starting from. Kids in school are going to be a different ball game altogether.
That's a blessing. Apologies, Ranju.
No, Bhuvnesh, the point I was making is if you turn the clock 5 years back, sustainability, or 10 years back, was a very fashionable word.
True.
And I think used not always just to sound cool and all of that and modern and smart. But today, if you see, I mean, as GMs, I'm sure everybody on this panel, if you see RFP forms that most international companies give you to contract business with you, all of them ask you very pertinent questions on sustainability. So it's becoming a way of life instead of just something that is very fashionable to do, or I think people believe. And I echo Kunal's point. I think the younger generation are far more aware and responsible than we. When we look at their mannerisms, we might not think so, but they are far more responsible purely because they are far more aware, with all the gadgets that they carry around with themselves. So thank you for that, Kunal. My last question now is for Gorav. It's a very interesting question. It's very similar to your brand.com versus OTAs. Delivery direct or via food delivery majors without losing out on the experience. What are your views, Gorav?
Well, I'll go back to March of 2020. Who would have thought that the pandemic is going to start and we would have to start coming out to restaurants on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, and lose out onto that experience. And I think when that happened, every hotel immediately started curating their menus, and the online version of those menus were ready, and the deliveries started. And at some stage, some hotels had already partnered with the food aggregators, then the Zomato and the Swiggies, and the ball continued to roll. Sometime, say, end of 2020, there were, I think, 2 more players which got entered, which we never heard of before, DotPay and Thrive. And they also started the delivery business along with the hotels. I think direct delivery is the key for the premium space where we work in. You cannot portray a brand to the extent how you can personally do it if your person goes and deliver the food as compared to as against a food aggregator who goes and deliver your food. We were talking of a brunch sometime back. How can you have 30 boxes of brunch delivered to a customer's house through a food aggregator? They can deliver a box of food, but the emotional connect which comes in with the food, the story which comes in with the food cannot be delivered by them. So I personally feel that it is the direct delivery which is the key. Now, having said so, there are some more pointers which we can add in this, that if we work with a food aggregator, there are high commission-based methods which they work on. That's number one. The consumer data is masked to a lot of extent. You don't get to know who your consumer actually is. You don't. You have very less control on the customer experience, onto the glitches which happen. You do not get to know a lot. Whereas if you would do it on your own, if it's a direct delivery, there is a full control which you have onto the customer experience. There is a faster delivery which you can guarantee. There is a long-term saving because your profit margins are then much more higher. We started with Viva by Novotel last year in 2020, wherein because there were restrictions with regards to the number of weddings, the number of guests which you can invite in the wedding. So if I have a wedding in Mumbai and I have some friends and relatives in Bangalore, for example, I cannot call them here because of the restrictions, but I can let them enjoy the same meal which is served at the hotel here at their doorstep, served by another Novotel in Bangalore, and they can watch the video online. So I think direct delivery is the key. It gives in that emotional connect, and when a customer is talking to a hotel, it's just not the food, it's the entire experience which comes into play. But having said that, to ensure that your kitchen continues to run, to ensure that the volumes continue to come in, it is important to work with the aggregators as well. So that's what I personally feel about this, Ranju.
I love that. Gorav specified what he wants and then got the diplomatic angle in and also specified the other one that works. Too good. But thank you, gentlemen. I think it was very, very inspiring to be with all of you. And thank you for your wholehearted participation. Handing over the baton to Bhuvnesh.
This baton will keep going back and forth till we finally switch off. But let me tell you, a great debate, an extremely important subject for the industry, right? It's always nice to iron out and discuss between all of us such important issues because the entire industry is grappling with them. And more so in unprecedented times like now, when none of us have faced. In fact, asked me in end of 2019 that this was going to happen, I'd throw the person out. All right. But the fact is, here we are, and we've learned so much. I think we've really honed on our skills to be able to measure up and deliver what the consumer wants in times like now. And this augurs well for the future. Great moderation by the lady who just gave her age away, right? Ranju. Yeah, thank you for being there. 10 on 10. Extremely good questions and well moderated and brilliant responses, right? There were disagreements, but that is what it is all about. These are not straight jacketed responses, right? Having said that, we'll be back, ladies and gentlemen, next week, 10th of February, same day, different date, same time slot. But this time, the debate is going to be how do we maximize revenues in times of lower occupancies. And replacing Ranju in moderation will be Digvijay Singh, who's the area director, Maharashtra and Gujarat, and the general manager, Taj Lands End in Mumbai, right? See the other speakers on the show. I'm sorry we don't have a slide because the last acceptances came in just before we went online today. Saurabh Dubey, general manager, Sheraton Grand Pune Bandh Garden Hotel. Sumit Kumar, who's the general manager of the Hyatt in Pune. Shantanu Guha Roy, Radisson Blue Resort and Spa in Courgette. Amit Mehta, he's the area director and general manager, Surat Marriott Hotel. Avinash Deshmukh, who's the general manager, ITC Welcome Hotel, Vadodara. Kaustav Mukherjee, who's the regional general manager, Pride Plaza in Ahmedabad. You would have noticed our penetration is now going into areas like Courgette, Nasik, Vadodara, Surat, not just Ahmedabad and Gandhinagar. We are going to Nagpur. We're going to all these places. There is so much of talent sitting over there. They have to be heard. They have to be given a visibility. Tell us where you want us to come and we will be there. Thank you for being there. Ranju, thank you. It's been a pleasure working on the show along with you. You've been a treat. So have been you all. Suraj, Jaideep, Kunal, Rajesh, Gorav, Anshul. Thank you for being there. BW Hotelier is delighted to have you all on our show. Till we come back again, look out for us. This show will go on till March. And then we bring in two big assets, two big properties. EHA is one of them. There's another surprise awaiting the industry. Thank you all.